Oh my, a lot of you guys wanted to hear a story of mine. Goodness, I have so many it's hard to choose just one. But I think it would be cool to talk about a story that actually relates to some of my first few speed paints I had here back when my channel was called Magical Misty 10. Whether you were watching this video or putting it on the background for whatever you're doing presently, grab a snack and a drink and let's set the scene. Back where I used to live, my neighborhood connected to a Publix. My mom, sister, and I would often make grocery runs to the store because of its safe and easy access. One day, when making one of our usual trips, a lady in a red Corvette was unloading her groceries and looked in my direction. She halted us by asking if I was a teenager. Now, keep in mind that while I was indeed 13 going on 14, I do look younger than I really am, so I understand why this lady needed to ask. My mom and I said yes, and she proceeded to tell us that she has a dog, a Highland Westie Terrier, that needs to be walked every day. She stated that she would be paying me each day generously, Monday to Friday, for days when she was out of the house. I was in shock. Before I had my precious Pico I had today, at the time we lived in a house that we had to rent, and part of our contract was we had to have no dogs on the property. But this lady was giving me a dream opportunity to not only see a dog, but to help take care of it too. I looked at my mom with eager anticipation and agreed. My mom and her exchanged phone numbers, and then we agreed to meet the next evening at her house that was conveniently across from Publix. For the next 24 hours, I was super stoked and excited, not only to hang out with a dog that I could have honestly done for free if asked, but to be paid a generous sum of money per week? Sold! The first evening I met this lady's dog, for the sake of this video and privacy, I'm going to change her name. Let's call this lady Miss Karen, which is totally not any foreshadowing whatsoever. Miss Karen introduced me to her white Westie, Sugar. Sugar was an old senior dog that was blind in her right eye. And for the sake of clarification, apparently the story goes Sugar was chasing down a squirrel and the squirrel bit her in the eye, hence making her blind in that right eye. Anyways, it's not really relevant to the story, I just thought I would clarify that. Miss Karen, who was now my boss that evening, taught me what she expected. Because Sugar was a senior dog, she didn't need to walk that far. I basically walked half a mile with Sugar each day. This lane I would walk was divided into thirds, with there being cul-de-sacs to break up the path, which I called first, second, and third stop sign. I did this because little me was terrible with names at the time, and I still kind of am, but we don't talk about that. Keep these stop sign points in mind because it's going to become important later. Now, Miss Karen showed me the figurative and literal ropes of what she expected me to do, which you can imagine was pretty simple. Just walk the dog, clean up after whatever mess she makes, and bring her home. Little me probably looked mentally insane for being excited to pick up dog poop. But oh well, whatever it takes to keep the community clean, I guess. I guess in that circumstance, everyone would be happy. And thus, I began to take care of Sugar every day. My mom also took the time to give me an educational experience. She gave me a journal to help me keep track, log what times I arrived, left, and how far we went from her house, and extra notes as well for Sugar's health. It was honestly such a blast. Then, something happened. Strike one happened. I don't think I did anything specifically, but Miss Karen thought I wasn't spending enough time with her dog. Miss Karen asked to speak with me, and I was terrified. When I showed her my journal, however, I proved her wrong with literal written fact. I usually spent a good 20 minutes to an hour or more each day with Sugar. Now, my mom was with me when I talked with Miss Karen. Miss Karen was kind of adamant about it, saying, What do you think? I'm not gonna yell at her. But I did all the talking and managed everything myself. My mom was honestly there for emotional support, and making sure Miss Karen didn't do anything since at the time I was a naive minor. With everything cleared, I continued to take care of Sugar, having a fun time at it as well. Now, something I should mention is Sugar is not friendly with other dogs, but perfectly fine with humans. Seriously, this old pooch turned into a puppy around me. It was crazy. There were only a few times that I had to correct Sugar and gently redirect her attention from other dogs. One day, I came to Miss Karen's house when she was actually home. She told me it was fine though and asked if I wanted to join her walk Sugar anyways. I happily obliged and walked with my boss on the streets. We started chatting about life, but then she brought up something strange. Do you have a boyfriend?
What? Bro, what are you talking about, man?
What? No, I have never had one. Well, good. I used to have one. He was in the military and is kind of a stalker. Wait, really? Yeah, my son set up a security system since he has a habit of sitting in front of my house. I brushed it off and got back to my mom, who picked me up. I mentioned Miss Karen's crazy ex and my mom seemed to pause. What's wrong, Mama? She proceeded to tell me that she knew about it and found it odd that Miss Karen would tell me, a 13-year-old at the time, about something so grown up. Like, why would you scare a child like that? As if that wasn't bad enough, a few days later, I come to the house with the door creaked open. Now, immediately, I start panicking. And the first thing I did was I called my mom. And she went full mama bear mode and grabbed her gun. She wouldn't let me go inside until she did a whole sweep of the house. Yes, I had that kind of mama. She is the best mama bear in the world. Not many kids can claim that their mom did a whole legit sweep of the house to make sure it was safe. Shout out to my mom right there. Whew, but getting back to the story, luckily there was no one in the house, and Miss Karen had just simply left it slightly ajar by accident when she left to work that day. Now, being the naive little pushover I was, I didn't mind this, but my mom sure did. She was already on edge about this lady, but from then on, she didn't leave Miss Karen's driveway until I came back from doing my job every time. Imagine how bad things could have actually turned out. Now, I was not only scared of possible future intruders because of my boss's negligence, but this supposed crazy ex as well. And mind you, this is my first job experience and I'm only 13. Fast forward a couple weeks later, and I come to my house with Miss Karen there once again. I'm seeing a trend here. Now, she was just getting lunch from home around the time that I was going to take care of Sugar, and thus, with her owner home, Sugar was super excited. Dogs always are excited when their owners are around. Nevertheless, Miss Karen ushered me to take care of Sugar. Well, Sugar, as I've stated, was super excited, and she got up all into my face. And this excitement honestly startled me, and so much so, I had to push her off. And so I did. Bam! Because of the way the old dog reacted, she stumbled and bumped into the side wall. Which sounded hard, but it actually wasn't at all. It was just her close proximity to it that had made it sound more worse than it really was. Miss Karen, however, literally gasped and went to check on her dog. Little me was profusely apologizing for what happened, although nothing bad had happened to her dog. At the end of the day, it was both of our fault. The dog for being too excited that her owner was home, and I not being calm enough to push her off slowly. Miss Karen, however, didn't actually seem to acknowledge me at all. Just told me that I will walk her dog tomorrow instead of today. Strike two. I went to my mom in nervous tears. My mama comforted me, but I knew it was strike two now. If I did anything more, I would no longer have the income for myself. Nor would I get to be around dogs for a very long time. Dogs? What do you mean dogs? Sugar is the only dog you took care of. It's not like Miss Karen got puppies or something. Funny you say that, because yes, in fact, she did. And yes, I had mentioned to Miss Karen once again that since Sugar doesn't like other dogs, that it probably wouldn't have been a good idea. Well, it was her choice at the end of the day, and it was her dogs. Miss Karen got two Westie puppies, twins, Dash and Daisy. And suddenly, my job from then on switched. I no longer walked Sugar, but I had to stay to play with puppies, make sure they went outside, and then properly put them away before leaving. The following month of doing this was an absolute dream. Poor Sugar, though, was obviously jealous, so to keep peace before I left every day, I would love up on her before leaving, just so she knew the old lady of the house wasn't forgotten. As the pups got a few weeks older, my boss told me to start walking them, and so I did. Until one fateful day that changed everything. That day... how do I say this? My Aunt Flo was in town, if you catch my drift. And not only that, but she had come in loaded this time, which sadly made it feel like a stomachache. A really, really bad one. But I had a job to take care of. I wasn't going to let her down. I wasn't going to let my boss get another excuse to give me my third strike. So I grabbed the puppies and made my way down, making it to the first stop sign, which, to remind you, was about a third of a mile. But I couldn't make it any further. My legs literally felt like rocks that were ablaze. So I turned back. It was luckily a Friday, so I wouldn't have to worry about coming back the following day until Monday. I left the puppies, made sure Sugar was settled, and gave one of Miss Karen's cats a treat. Miss Karen had 2 cats, but the other hated my guts and wanted nothing to do with me. I left a note on a little whiteboard for my boss, letting her know how far we went before I left the house. Keep in mind, these puppies are still tiny, so a walk like that is still a big deal for them. I was proud of myself for even making it that far. However, my boss had left an ominous note for me at my house. Keep in mind, we all lived in the same neighborhood. It basically said that if I was sick, which I had told her why I wasn't feeling great, that I shouldn't be coming to her house and that she would be thinking about this one. Thinking about this one? What? Did I not do something right? Did I do something wrong? The entire weekend left me super anxious. I was left questioning myself so much, but I ultimately brushed it off to my anxiety just playing tricks at me. She wouldn't let me go over Aunt Flo. Would she? This was my first job, and Miss Karen worked at an agent at a law. She was an agent at a law firm as an accountant. Surely she had better class than she did. She did, and not only did she fire me the next Monday, but she didn't even do it in person or on a call. She just blatantly texted my mother saying, "Please let Moon. Her services are no longer required." She fired a then freshly turned 14-year-old over a text? Oh, I was bawling. Not only was that entirely unprofessional to do, but it was overall heartless to do to a child. The entire rest of the week looked so bleak. I was heartbroken and almost quite literally depressed. I mean, to this day, I sometimes still severely question myself because of my experience with Miss Karen. I thought things were going to remain dark until some certain kids came along. But that part 2, an additional story, we'll just have to wait. I hope you liked this first story time of mine. Believe me, I've got plenty more to share. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe so you can be notified when part 2 comes out. Shine on, little stars. Shine on.